Welcome back to the check-in. My name is Jarrett, and today I'm joined by Shanon Squires, our Chief Mining Officer here at Compass, and we're going to talk about our newly owned and operated, or soon-to-be operated, site in Iowa. This news broke a couple weeks ago, but we wanted to continue to touch upon it as it develops. So, Shanon, thank you for hopping on the check-in.
Hey, Jarrett, thanks for following up on this. It's obviously, a fun experience digging in and building a site from the ground up.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and leave in the episode's description some links to the write-up and the press release that we had go out about maybe a week or two ago. It seems like a long time ago in Bitcoin mining terms because every week feels like sometimes 3 months, with just how many new developments are going on. But for Compass, this is a very big piece of news. And if you read one of those links, like, if you read the press release or some other people that picked it up from the industry, you'll see that in January, it said we're going to be having around 8 megawatts up. And then in the new year, it's kind of, I don't think that there was a timeline on there. We're going to hope to get up to 30 megawatts. Can you kind of talk about where we are today, even if that's just as simply as some of the things you said before we hopped on, that maybe we're just putting, electric poles in the ground?
Yeah, so I mean, the building out a site's not the slowest process, and Bitcoin miners generally go faster than any traditional business as far as that goes. So we take projects that people would normally look at over a year time frame or something like that. We try to cram it into like 60 to 90 days. So when you get on the site, first thing that has to happen is once you get all your permitting done and any additional engineering that needs to be finished, you get the site to grade. So the majority of the beginning of the build is just grading the site. So, dozers and bobcats out there pushing dirt around, get the site on grade, get the culverts in, get the, roadway or entranceway into the site. After that, the utilities working on setting poles right now. So, we located across the street from a substation. So it worked out quite nicely as far as limiting the amount of like copper that has to be run to the site. So important when siting a site is like how, if I have to run 50 miles of copper to get power to my site, that's going to be a bigger expense than being able to just drop it across the street. So utilities putting up poles now. So that's exciting. And then hopefully later this month, grading should be complete this week. The rest of engineering should be complete. So we should be getting to the point of pouring concrete later this month. And then obviously we have the holidays and it's getting cold. Weather looks good these next couple of weeks. So should be good to keep going from there. Excited, got a great contractor out there working on stuff. Obviously, we don't have our own construction company, so we rely on third parties, and we try to find local third parties to do that when we have the opportunity.
Amazing. And this is just pure curiosity. I exterior painted houses in high school and in college the summers to make some cash, and I do know that as it got into the fall, if it hit 50 degrees, you don't really want to be putting paint on the house. It's just not optimal. So is there a weather situation there where we can't be pouring concrete at a certain time? Is maybe the warmer climate that it seemed like it's been throughout the entire season of winter, and I'm using air quotes, how are we on that? Is that a concern at all?
Yeah, so temperature definitely affects a few things. One, the ground will freeze and then it makes it difficult to dig. There are like blankets in which you can heat and defrost the ground, but just the time and expense of doing that we want to try to avoid. We actually ran into ground freeze trying to expand at Minnesota. Is that 2 years ago now? A year or two ago, in which we had to kind of postpone that expansion from going online in December timeframe to being online in Q1. So that's a real risk, and we're trying to beat that, trying to get all the trenching done, all the conduit in the ground before the ground freezes. We'll be cutting it close, but as far as like pouring concrete, you got to be above a certain temperature for all the chemicals in there to set the concrete. I don't know the exact temperatures, but generally, I poured concrete after, you were painting houses, I was pouring concrete. I did it in the winter in Colorado, and there's blankets and tarping and things you can do to help make sure that you're going to be successful even in the wintertime pouring concrete.
Yeah, sweet. I was just curious because I know that on a construction site, all the elements, literally, no pun intended, do take their toll. We're going to start with 8 megawatts, and the goal is to get to 30 megawatts. On that timeline, is that a demand-driven timeline? As far as, okay, we now have this many more units we need to host. We're going to now build out. What does that timeline look like as we get into 2025?
I mean, there's always going to be clients that need additional capacity, right? Whether that's more retail client interest or, enterprise level client interest. So whether it's a guy with one miner or 3,000 miners. And so we always got to be expanding capacity as a company to be able to accommodate that. That I don't think that's really the driving factor of expanding to 30 megawatts, or a speed. It's just we need that incremental capacity, and we need to continue doing that. So we like right now, like we're out in the markets. We both, we will tie up large tranches of power or hosting capacity to be able to use that in the future. Currently, so we're currently looking for capacity, whether that's sites to buy or acquire that are turnkey, even some basic hosting relationships if we need that intermittently to take care of clients that are currently looking for capacity. So it's always a balancing act between, what we're building and trying to grow into, and then obviously using third parties as we have in the past to, maintain the business and then, expand faster when we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you calling out that we're looking for different opportunities, partners, and if not projects, where can people reach out? Is it okay if I put your email in the show notes? Should they hit you up on LinkedIn? Should they find you on X? Where's the best place for people to find you if they're listening to this and they're like, I can totally, partner and collab with Compass?
Yeah, email or Telegram's probably best. LinkedIn is probably the absolute worst place to find because there's 10,000 useless messages on LinkedIn. Twitter's a little better, but I'd go with Telegram or email. So we could put
that was my not so subtle pitch to get you more on LinkedIn. I don't think it worked. Shannon, thank you for joining the check-in this week and talking about our new site. You'll probably be back on. I'll drag you back on to continue to talk about this because as it develops, it's exciting and it's totally in the arc and the trajectory of where Compass is going. The idea of own and operating and being able to be more vertically integrated. So thank you, Shannon, for joining. And if you're watching this, make sure you subscribe and you're following Compass on socials at Compass Mining on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks, Jarrett.